My name is Isadora, and for a long time, I believed that I was living something unique, an intense, deep love, almost poetic. I met Felipe at a party. He arrived as someone who carries a magnetism that is difficult to ignore. When he looked at me, I felt as if time had slowed down, as if, for a moment, only I existed there. In the first few months, everything seemed magical. He was present, called me all the time, made a point of remembering every detail about me. She brought flowers to work, wrote notes, said she had never felt that for anyone. It was all very intense, too fast, but I confused intensity with love. Over time, the subtleties began to change their tone. He didn't like certain clothes I wore. He said it was to protect me. That men looked at with malice. It seemed careful, but it was control. I started avoiding dresses, canceling meetings with friends. He said he felt excluded, that if I really loved him, I would prioritize him. And every time I tried to question, he countered with a sharp calm. It turned the tables. It made me feel wrong. And he ended up apologizing. Fights always came, but they were followed by tears, beautiful words, plans for the future. He always said he was going to change. And I believed it, not out of naivety, but for hope. I still wanted to believe that he was just a wounded man who needed love to heal. Until one day, everything changed. It was any Wednesday. He was in the shower and left his cell phone unlocked on the bed. I wasn't looking for anything, but the notification appeared. It was a short message from a woman. "It was amazing yesterday. When will we see each other again?" My body froze. I picked up my phone without thinking. His hands trembled. And there they were. Old conversations, exchanges of photos, audios, several women, promises, lies. Some, he said he would leave me. Others, that I was the abusive one. That he was stuck with me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just waited for him to get out of the shower. When he appeared, he came smiling. He gave me a light kiss and asked what I wanted for dinner. I looked at him, and I asked, in a low voice, "Did you betray me yesterday?" The smile disappeared. He laughed. Then he called me crazy. He said I was paranoid, that he was making things up, that I needed help, that he couldn't take it anymore. And it was there, at that moment, that my mind began to doubt me. Had I misinterpreted? Was I to blame? That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in silence, reviewing every scene from the past 2 years. Every fight, every excuse, every tear from him. And then, everything fell into place. It wasn't love. It never was. It was control. Handling. A well-rehearsed theater with a repeated script, and I was the loyal audience, waiting for the happy ending. The next day I left home. I went to my mother's house. She had always been suspicious of him, but he never said anything to me. When he saw me at the door, he just hugged me. And that hug, it has fallen apart. I was silent for 3 days. I blocked everything. I deactivated social networks, but inside, it was as if he was in abstinence. I had anxiety attacks. I cried for no reason, trembled. It was still part of my routine, of my identity, and even after all, a part of me. I still wanted to believe it was love. On the 4th day, he appeared, crying, on his knees, with flowers, gifts, and a speech that touched exactly where I still hurt. He said he was lost, that he made a mistake out of fear, that he loved me, that he didn't know how to live without me. She said that I was cold, that I moved away, that everything he did was to keep me close, and I gave in. But it's not easy to live with a narcissist, and with that you start to feel very worn out and discouraged. and I don't feel like doing anything and feeling that way. I came back with him. 2 weeks later, everything seemed better. Considerate, kind, affectionate, as if something had really changed. But I knew. Inside, I knew. And then, the little signs began again. The veiled criticisms, the suspicious messages. The excuses are ready. And as always, I was the exaggerated one. One day, a childhood friend invited me to have coffee. He looked at me firmly and said, "Issa, I don't recognize you anymore. He broke you." And there, I cried. An old, restrained cry. I realized how much I got lost trying to hold someone who never wanted to be held. I returned home determined to leave. But this time, I was silent. I saved money. I took my documents. I saved evidence. I prepared myself in secret. The day I left, he wasn't. I left a letter. Not by him, but for me. I needed to leave without confrontation. He tried to call me. He sent audios, threats. But I didn't answer. It had been a long time since I needed to justify my pain. It's been 2 years since that day. I still have triggers. I'm still in therapy. I still wake up sometimes with a heavy heart. But today I know that was not my fault. Narcissism does not come with shouting. He arrives with promises, with beautiful words, and it involves you until you forget who you are. But I remembered. In the silences that used to hurt, today I rest. In the spaces he occupied, today there is lightness. I went back to doing simple things, walking alone, listening to my music, wearing the dresses he hated. I came back to myself. There are still difficult days, but now I know how to recognize what hurts me, and I know how to move away. Today, Felipe is just a memory. I don't carry anger anymore. I carry learning, and a deep respect for the woman who, even shattered, had the courage to say, "Enough." I'm Isadora, and I survived a relationship with a narcissist. This is my story. A story of loss, yes, but above all, return, of strength, of peace. I tried to leave that morning. I took some clothes, my bag, my cell phone, and I went to my mother's house. She always distrusted him, but never said anything. When he opened the door and saw me with a swollen face, he just hugged me, and that hug took me apart. I spent 3 days without talking to him. I deleted my networks, blocked the number, but inside, it seemed that something still held me. I had anxiety attacks. I cried out of nowhere. I trembled. I still believed I loved him. Or maybe I was addicted to him. It was part of my routine, my identity, the way I saw myself in the world. And in a sick way, I still wanted to believe that he could change, that maybe it had all been a mistake. On the 4th day, he appeared, at my mother's doorstep, crying, on his knees, with flowers, gifts, and that perfect, calculated speech. He touched every wound I didn't know I had. He said that he was destroyed, that he acted out of fear, that he made mistakes because he felt insecure. And in a soft voice, he blamed me. He said I was cold. That pushed me away. That he just wanted to feel close. And once again, I gave in. I went home with him. And for a few days, it looked different. He was calmer, sweeter. He wrote to me, praised me, made plans. I wanted to believe that at last he had understood. That maybe now it was real. But it didn't take long. The criticism returned. More subtle. Suspicious messages too. And with them, the excuses ready. He made me doubt my intuition, my reason, my perception. He called me exaggerated, jealous, neurotic, and I started to believe. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I felt erased, exhausted, as if he were living with a constant weight on his chest, a suffocation without explanation. It was then that a childhood friend invited me to have a coffee. When he saw me, he looked at me with eyes full of truth and said, "Isa, I don't recognize you anymore. He broke you." I cried. I cried an old, choking cry. At that moment, I realized how much I had abandoned myself trying to keep someone who never loved me. He loved control, not me. I returned home decided, but in silence. I didn't say anything. I started saving money, separating documents, saving evidence. I knew that when I really left, I needed to be prepared, because he wouldn't let it go. The day I left, he wasn't there. I left a letter. Not by him, but for me. I needed to wrap up without confrontation. He tried to react, calls, audios, threats, but this time I didn't answer. I had already spent too much energy trying to justify my pain. It's been 2 years. I'm still in therapy. I still have triggers. I still find myself thinking about how I let it last so long. But today, I know. It was not weakness. It was manipulation. It was addiction. It was a well-assembled emotional prison. Narcissism is sneaky. He doesn't arrive as a monster. He comes smiling, promising love, saying he just wants to take care of you, until you find yourself caught in a web where love does not exist, only control. But I managed to get out, and in the days that followed, emptiness came. Silence. A hole so deep that it seemed impossible to get out. I found myself alone, not knowing who I was without him. But it was in this void that my healing began. Because there I started to come back to myself. I had relapses. I had difficult nights. I was afraid, but I continued. One step at a time. One choice per day. Therapy was my watershed. One day my therapist looked at me and said, "You've been abused, and that's not your fault." I cried. I cried for all the times I kept silent, for everything I accepted, for everything I swallowed in the name of a love that was never love. I started writing, doing simple things, having a coffee alone, sit in the park, travel. I went back to wearing the clothes he said drew too much attention. And with each gesture, I felt more alive, more mine. Today, I tell this story because I know that there are women living what I lived, who still feel guilty, confused, trapped. And if this story touches at least one of them, it's worth it. Felipe today is just a memory, a name without strength, a shadow without reach. He tried to turn off my light, but without knowing it, he was the one who taught me how much I can shine. I'm Isadora. I survived a relationship with a narcissist, and today, I live in peace. That is my freedom, my victory, and it is just the beginning. And even after everything, there are still days when I find myself thinking, what if I hadn't seen that message? What if I had continued in that relationship, slowly canceling myself out, losing parts of myself without realizing it? Maybe I was still there, trying to fit into what he wanted, trying to be enough, trying to understand why love hurts so much. The cruelest thing about emotional abuse is that it disguises itself. It comes with sweet words, with promises, with eyes that seem sincere, and we believe it. Because he wants to believe. Because it's not easy to admit that what seemed like love, it was just control. I had to lose almost everything to see. My self-esteem, my confidence, my glow. But somehow, that notification was my signal. It was my silent scream. And even in the midst of chaos, I found courage. And so, I'm grateful. Today, my life is different. My days are lighter. My steps, firmer. I am surrounded by people who look at me with truth, who do not diminish me, who do not try to extinguish my light. I learned to set limits. I learned that saying no is not rejecting the other. It is choosing yourself. I learned that real love, it does not oblige you to justify its existence. When I look in the mirror now, I see a marked woman, yes, but entirely. I see someone who has fallen, who has broken, who has doubted himself, but which he chose to get up, who chose to leave, who chose to start over. If you are listening to this, and you feel that you are experiencing something similar, please listen to your body. Listen to your heart. True love doesn't hold you back. It doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you live on alert. It took me a while to understand this, but I understood. And today, I am at peace. That was my story. A story of pain, yes, but also of return, of strength, of rebirth. Because despite everything he tried to do, I survived. And that, no one can take away from me. Today, I carry scars, but I don't hide any. They are marks of a war that I fought in silence, alone, against someone who said he loved me, but just wanted to shut me up. Each wound was a sign, every tear, a step. And today, I walk steadily. Not because the fear has disappeared, but because I learned to listen to what he shows me. Because I learned that my peace is worth more. Felipe may have fooled me for a while, but he didn't win. The true face of narcissism has revealed itself. And with him, the most important revelation of my life came. I am enough. I always have been. I didn't have to scream, nor to take revenge. My victory was to leave. He shut me up. It was choosing me, and move on. If you recognize yourself in this story, know you are not alone, and the love you deserve, it starts with you. Because the greatest liberation, it is when we understand that we will never again accept less than our own peace. I'm Isadora. That was the story of how I found out what he was hiding. But more than that, it was the story of how I came back into existence, and never again. I went back to darkness.